Hello everyone, welcome to the Comic Game Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I am here to clean up some confusion. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 7, I believe, just made its premiere, the final season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I may make a video about that on its own like I usually do. You know how I do. When I make a video, when a new season of a show comes out, I review the first episode, I give you my thoughts of where it's going, and then I come back and review the entire thing as a whole. That's kind of been my thing I do, but we'll see. And I'll probably do this with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's what I've been doing with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a while now, especially as long as I've had this channel. But it started to bring up a lot of conversation on the internet about, is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. canon? And then it just, it kind of spiraled out of control for a little bit. It was about a week or two ago, especially a week ago when it came out, was the conversations about, is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. canon and is it not canon? What's canon in MCU? The Netflix show's canon? And then you got this whole Save Daredevil thing. I talked about that before, but it's kind of coming back again. And I really just want to get into it. Now, so for those of you who don't know, and I'm gonna go down this memory lane again because there might be someone watching this video who didn't watch my previous video of me going over this. From the moment that for a very long time now, there has been a divide between Marvel Television and the Marvel movies. Back ever since Kevin Feige, Disney got bought by Marvel got bought by Disney. The entirety of Marvel got bought by Disney for about $4 billion, and in either 2011 or 2012, I know it was around the same time the Avengers was coming out that it got bought. It's why technically the Avengers, the original Avengers movie, is still considered a Paramount movie, but the rights to it and everything are owned by Disney, so Paramount doesn't get anything from that movie. I mean, not anymore. Anything other than what they got from, so Paramount got a lot of money off that first Avengers movies, but they don't continue to make any profit off of it. So yeah, the first Avengers movie technically was a Paramount film, but a lot of the movies were Paramount films. But like I said before, shit, I'm losing my train of thought. But yeah, there was a divide, and people didn't know this for a very long time. Now, the Marvel Television, before Marvel got bought by Disney, you had Sony making their own shows, you had Fox making their own animated shows, you had many things like that. As you remember, the X-Men, and the original 90s Spider-Man show, and a lot of those 90s animated shows were made by Fox. And then you have the Spectacular Spider-Man, probably the best, probably a lot of people's favorite animated Spider-Man show that was created by Sony, was specifically created by Sony. Also, you have that weird 3D Ultimate Spider-Man show that was weird as shit, that was also created by Sony. And once Disney bought Marvel, they put a hush to all of that. They canceled all those shows. They canceled Earth's Mightiest Heroes, which was a Disney show, but once the Avengers was a Disney show, that was kind of, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, was pretty much greenlit and made so that they could get the idea of the Avengers out there and see what people think about it and see how people feel about it. But then once the Avengers got big time, they decided to cancel Earth's Mightiest Heroes for the not as bad, I'm an animation guy myself, but not as great, but nowhere near as great, and really kind of cookie cutter version of it called Avengers Assemble, which I believe got canceled a year or two ago anyways, so that show ended up going for a couple years, but I digress. That's just to show the divide, that things changed once Disney bought Marvel and then a divide happened. After the Avengers blew up, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was created to jump on the train. You gotta remember, when the first Avengers came out and was a big deal, it was a phenomenon. The MCU is still a phenomenon to this day, but when that first movie came out, it was like nothing anyone had ever seen. No one had expected it to make that much money. Everyone had the last of the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy beating that movie in every conceivable way, and the Avengers beat the shit out of Christopher Nolan's final movie in the Batman trilogy in every conceivable way. It made more money, it's higher rated, and it birthed, and it pretty much, changed the game entirely for cinema. The Avengers changed cinema. So when you make a movie that big, you want to jump on it and capitalize on it. So they created Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the thought, they created Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they put Jeff Loeb, pretty much the overseer of all Marvel Television, and the idea was to make these shows that were that existed in the MCU. Now, from the jump, no one knew how this was going to work. But if you recall, back around 2013, maybe 14, the hashtag that was going out there was hashtag "It's all connected." Remember that? It's all connected. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., when it started off, it was clearly connected. Each Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. would happen, congruently with movies, and they would have to, respond to what the movies were doing. They would have to immediately respond to whatever happened in a movie and do something accordingly. Like they talked about they had cameos from people such as Maria Hill, Lady Sif, and even Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But that is all inside of the first few seasons. And most people agreed that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was hurting because of that. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was hurting very badly because the fact of the matter is Kevin Feige does not like Jeff Loeb. I've talked about this many times before. Kevin Feige does not like Jeff Loeb. Around the time when Age of Ultron was about to come out, he got in a struggle with Ike Perlmutter over power. Jeff Loeb was in Ike Perlmutter's corner, so Kevin Feige does not like Jeff Loeb. He does not give him information. They get it afterwards, and then they have to react. But that made it hard on the television to do that. Around 2014, Daredevil came out, and the Netflix shows, and we started to consider maybe they are connected too. Maybe they're in the same world. But it became pretty clear that these shows aren't connected. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was connected, but it felt like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did their best to disconnect themselves, and it helped, and it favored them. It favored them greatly. So, just to tell you what's connected and what's not connected, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is loosely connected, because there are things that happen that obviously means that it's connected, but then they kind of go so far their own direction, they're not mentioned by anyone in the movies, they're not mentioned, they rarely can actually say the actual characters' names or even mention them. And after about season 3, it's a different show. And for the better of the show. But the things that are going on, you feel like Tony Stark, there's just no way that Tony Stark wouldn't have known. There's just no way that the Avengers and other characters wouldn't have known of his existence. There's no way Nick Fury wouldn't have called upon Coulson to come with his superhero team to come help out during some of the most big events in the MCU. There's no way Coulson wouldn't want to come back to help out in some of the biggest events in the MCU. There's no way that when Black Widow leaked out all the information that S.H.I.E.L.D. has on the internet that no one caught on, that none of the information that of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Coulson being alive came out at all, or at least no one even saw it or cared about it. There's no way that when Captain America was, after Civil War, was a secret Avenger and going around and going on stealth mode, that he wouldn't have heard or saw something about Coulson. It's because these things don't exist in the same world. I mean, Quake battled Graviton. Yeah, Graviton. Quake battled Graviton in broad daylight in the middle of the streets, and no one did anything. Quake was an anti-hero slash villain, depending on who you ask, roaming around, and she was on public television and no one said anything about it in the movies. Coulson, S.H.I.E.L.D. came back, and they almost confirmed, I can't remember for sure because it's been a while since I've seen it, if they confirmed that Coulson's still alive when they went public, but S.H.I.E.L.D. went public again and got destroyed again, and it wasn't brought up. It's because it's not canon, because at a certain point it stops being canon. Now, the Marvel Netflix shows have never been canon. The Marvel Netflix shows can't even say the names of the characters. They can't say Captain America. They can't say Black Panther. They can't say anything. And you notice it when you're watching it. Jessica Jones calls Captain America the flag waver, or the purple guy, or the guy with the hammer. They can't say the names of the actual characters because they're not canon. None of the stuff in Daredevil is canon. None of the stuff that happens is canon. You think an earthquake could happen in New York City and Spider-Man or Captain America wouldn't come, or Spider-Man, Captain America, or Iron Man wouldn't come looking around to see what the fuck just happened? You know what I mean? There's just no way that would actually fly. You think the Punisher could do all the things that he does without any of those characters getting involved? You know what I mean? And I can hear a lot of people saying in the comment section now that, well, not every character has to be in every story to make it canon. But the problem is, even the MCU itself realized they can only do that for so long. You can only justify characters not showing up in a story for so long, which is why I've always argued that Captain America America Civil War is a Captain America movie. It's just you can't justify the other characters not being in the story, so they just have them in the story. And that's the same thing with the Netflix shows. There's too much shit going on for there not to be a single character that shows up to investigate, send a SHIELD agent out there or something. But the fact that never happens is because they can't do that, because the Marvel Netflix shows aren't canon. Same thing with the Marvel with the Hulu's Runaways and Freeform's Cloak and Dagger. None of those shows are canon. There are too many things that happen in those shows that is clear that someone would have saw. I mean, in fucking Dark Cloak and Dagger, a huge bolt of energy goes off underwater of dark energy that was so big that it blew up a rig, and it was this huge event all over the news, but you never hear it mentioned in the MCU, and you never even hear it mentioned in other shows because they're not connected. Same thing with the Runaways. Like, I mean, an earthquake happens. Like, there's this event that's happening that might end up destroying everything, and there's this magical being from another dimension that shows up, and Doctor Strange doesn't show up. You don't hear anything from Wong. They recast the Tina's mom, so like even though she showed up in Doctor Strange, but they still recast her, and they still made the staff of one a different version of the staff of one, so that's clearly not connected. Not to mention the big evidence that they recast Mahershala Ali, who played Cottonmouth wonderfully in the first season of Luke Cage. They recast him as Blade. So, in short, there's only one show that is considered, at least I consider, truly canon, because it has evidence to back it that none of the other shows have, and that is Agent Carter. Agent Carter is truly the only canon Marvel show. First of all, the original Agent Carter skit, Agent Carter, that was a little 10-minute video added on to the end of the movie. You know, because Marvel used to come out with those little hits of things with the All Hail the King and whatnot. The first Agent Carter was created. That skit was created by Marcus and McFeely and produced by Kevin Feige. And the first season of Agent Carter was created by Marcus and McFeely and produced by Kevin Feige. And even the second season was created by Marcus and McFeely and produced by Kevin Feige. So the thing that Agent Carter has that none of the other shows have is that it has the seal of approval from the actual Marvel Studios people. It was made by Marcus McFeely, who wrote the entirety of the Captain America trilogy, and who wrote Endgame and Infinity War. It was produced by Kevin Feige, this is the only credited show that Kevin Feige is a producer on. And in Endgame, Jarvis was the first time that a character from a television show, from the television side of Marvel, appeared in the MCU canon, confirming that everything that happened in Agent Carter happened in the MCU canon. Everything else, all the other shows, all the other things are not canon except for the first 3 seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that could be considered canon, but after that they go so far away from any of that stuff, and it becomes so hard to believe that certain characters wouldn't come peeking around or hear anything about this, that it becomes hard to believe that it's canon, or else I just have to believe that everyone's an idiot and they just don't care. So that is the video. I just wanted to clear that up for some people. I see some people on the internet talking about it, and I see some people around talking about it, and it was a thing that I wanted to put out there, is what's canon in the MCU and what's not. Everything that's about to happen from here on out is canon. All the shows on Disney Plus are canon. May I add, some of those shows are about $25 million an episode. You know how much The Mandalorian was an episode? About 15. Put that in perspective. And it's going to be 6 episodes. $25 million an episode right now. That's what Marvel's working with their Disney Plus shows. I just wanted to put that out there to let you guys know that these Disney Plus shows are going to be not only truly canon, but they are basically going to be long form movies. $25 million an episode will make it the most expensive television per episode show ever created. You know, until that Lord of the Rings show comes out, that's supposed to be ridiculous, blowing out of this world. But for right now, that is what I'm telling you. That are the canon shows. So the only truly canon show is Agent Carter. Which, if we're gonna do hashtags, what we need to do is hashtag bring Agent Carter back. That's the hashtag that needs to be going. Fuck all the other hashtags, because all the other stuff would be like ridiculously difficult to try to, you know, like trying to make Daredevil canon when he's never been canon, trying to make certain things canon when they weren't canon, or do it. It's like, that doesn't make any, that's just more trouble than it's worth. But Agent Carter is canon, so they should try to do, technically, Agent Carter was the first Marvel Studios produced show. And, you know, the production value for that show is fantastic. So I want to see more of that. So thank you guys for joining the Comic Game Movie Show. Please remember to like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.